Maître Elias,
Cheers.
cheers. Welcome to HAQQ.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm really happy you're here because I'm a big believer in strong, spontaneous conversations with bright people, and I think you're such a bright mind. And I want to start with a punch. I want to ask you, regarding bright minds, where do you think the bright minds of the future will be learning? Do you think a Harvard education, a Sorbonne education, in law specifically, will be as valuable and valid in the future in an age of artificial intelligence? What do you think?
I think it's a very good question, and you are right to ask it. Today, everything has changed. The landscape has changed. AI is here to revolutionize the world, and it's started. It's not tomorrow, it's today. But what will not disappear is human beings competing for
I think the competition is going to get bigger,
yes,
fiercer.
Probably, because also AI, what people don't say enough is that AI will also, erase a number of jobs.
Right.
So competition will be fiercer, as you said. I think people will still compete for education, higher education. They will still compete for degrees. They will want to go to Harvard. They will want to go to the Sorbonne. They will want to go to any place that is recognized as a place, recognizing them in turn as bright people or brighter than average people. So how will this take place? We don't know.
So you're saying even after the dust settles and AI has crept into every aspect of our lives, we still need validation and recognition. And having that from an institution like Harvard or Sorbonne will still be, maybe it will be even more valuable than before, right?
Yes, I believe so. At least equally valuable.
Okay.
Because as you rightly said, we would still be human beings seeking knowledge, seeking recognition, and seeking jobs in the end.
Jobs.
After this cycle, because we will still need to feed our human families. So and AI will definitely lead us there using ways that we don't imagine today, we can't imagine today. So, and we look forward to seeing what this is going to be like. We can't tell right now. But what will not change is the essence of us being, hopefully, of us being, human beings made from flesh,
right,
and living our lives as such. AI is supposed to be, and I hope it will always stay, something that supports us.
I'm not sure that we're going to stay flesh and bone, because I feel like this AI age is a new age of discovery, but we're not really discovering the seas and the land. I think we're maybe discovering ourselves more in our future. There's a huge transhumanist movement. I'm not sure if you know about it.
Let me tell you, Antoine, since we're having this unprepared conversation, which makes it enjoyable. I'm a huge comics reader.
Okay.
So I used to read comics since I was a kid.
Okay.
And everything you are talking about was foreseen by some talented, sci-fi /
science fiction is becoming reality.
Yes. And I'm telling you things that people talked about in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. But I insist on 50s.
Okay.
So yes, but does it scare me as a person? Yes. I'm not excited about it. Let's make that clear. But that's probably where we're headed. So my hope is that we remain,
flesh and bone.
Exactly, flesh and bone. We raise families that way.
Right.
We don't correct a child deficiency by using some.
I mean, it's already happening. Have you heard of Neuralink?
No, I haven't.
Neuralink is this company founded by Elon Musk. They've developed a chip that you insert into your brain, and currently they're using it for medical purposes. So they used it to help a paralyzed man play video games, right? He's able to interact with the computer through thought. And I think that's just such a breakthrough. But it doesn't stop there, obviously. If you can use it to be able to interact with the computer, you could use it to become a computer, you could use it to do a ton of other things. And so I think it's here, right?
No, it is here. And the question is going to be, first of all, I think we'll agree, you and I, that anything that is the advancement of science.
Right.
We should all be for. We cannot be against.
Pro-science.
I mean, especially like medical therapy. I mean, all of us want people to suffer less. All of us want solutions to diseases, solutions to deficiencies, whatever they are. So whatever helps, in that direction, including a chip in the brain, no matter how scary it may sound, I think we have to be in favor. But a balance will have to be struck.
Right.
Okay. And who's going to strike this balance is a big question.
I think lawyers have a big role to play in that, actually.
I don't know, but I don't know about lawyers and the future. We can talk about that as a separate topic. But my point was about the ethics of AI. I think it's the most important point that some people are talking about, but not enough people. The real question about the future of AI is going to be ethics.
Ethics.
Okay, so I made this chip that I can integrate in a human body, in a human brain. How do I use it? Okay, and who says that it's fine to use it, to heal someone, or even to redefine a solution to a problem that until now was not solved, a health problem? And who says it's not fine to use it to improve my, you were talking about Harvard and those big universities, about my, scores, grades.
Right.
Maybe I have more money and I can afford it, and I can be ahead of my right next door neighbor who's actually smarter in terms of his,
I mean, if the tools are available, why not use them to get ahead, right?
But who says when you can? This is where ethics, and probably an ethics, some sort of a higher ethics committee should look at. Regulator, I don't know how you call it. You're not.
I mean, usually it's religions that started the whole morality thing and have a major role to play in terms of ethics.
Ethics have a huge presence in religions, but all societies, even those who have sort of, parted ways with the religion, have found a need for ethics, and ethics is at the core of, say, the European Union or other places. I mean, we can give plenty of examples, but the need for ethics is there. So, there's a bioethics discipline and discussion that's been ongoing for decades, as you know. Now there's going to be an AI ethics question.
You think so?
Yes, because if, in the great example that you gave, Otwan, if this device can help the sick as much as it can help someone become better, the question of should it be made available would be asked.
Right.
And the question of, someone will have to answer that question, and that will be some sort of an AI ethics committee, higher international organization, the UN's AI arm, who knows?
Yeah, but there needs to be someone,
I think, will happen.
Someone with the answers to these tough questions.
Yes, and just going back to what you were saying, law school. So you said, what will law school look like?
Yeah.
And my real answer is we don't know. I think, as we said earlier, people will still compete for excellence. So names like Harvard, Sorbonne, Yale, Assas, they're gonna still be there. They will transform. They will adapt. They have started. In 2017, I was at Harvard Law School for the 200th anniversary, I think, and the foundation of Harvard Law School. And one of the things that they took us to see was the library, the Langdell Library, which is one of the reasons why, alongside distinguished professors, legendary professors, like I took the class of Roy Good, who was an arbitration legend, and was able to brag about it at the time. Alongside this, people would also go to great law schools because they had great libraries. They found last week one of the originals of the, I think, Magna Carta at Harvard Law School.
They thought it was a copy.
Yes.
It turned out to be a genuine version of the Magna Carta.
Absolutely. So that's a sign. And in 2017, they showed us how the Harvard Law School library, Langdale, was digitizing all of what it had. Anything that's not a manuscript that could be destroyed if you touch it with your bare hands was being, cut and scanned and digitized. 2017.
Wow.
So that's why institutions like Harvard are ahead of others. I'm sure
And it makes
plenty
sense
of
'cause-
schools are doing that in the world.
But it also makes sense because they're the ones who came up with AI to begin with, right? I mean, AI started in Dartmouth in the 1950s. And so it just makes sense that institutions like the universities, which is basically, you're saying these are the brightest people we can find. You put them together and they're the ones advancing things. I think maybe you're right.
You're right, Antoine. This is where knowledge was as well. Knowledge was with the legal professors and in the libraries. Now, and that's, I think, what you were hinting to, this legal professor, this legend, will be available online for everybody. They won't need to gather students in the classroom, and he won't need to be in that classroom with them. That's the revolution. And Langdale, you won't have to, take up the stairs. Langdale will be available to you from probably for a huge fee, because, our world is still materialistic as we know it. And again, competition will be fiercer. But in terms of access to education, this is something we should
100%.
be in favor of, because someone cannot travel to the US for some health reason.
Oh, and by the way, a lot of people aren't getting creative enough with understanding how AI will affect education. I'm going to give you an example. You mentioned this famous professor that, you're very happy you went to his class, okay? May God give him life, right? At the end of the day, we all pass away. The thing is, with AI, we're being able to develop digital twins of people. So you could very well imagine 200, 300, 500 years from now, taking a class with that same professor, but his AI digital twin. He is AI digital twin, right?
Yeah.
And
It's not impossible. I mean, again, I think, I don't want to dwell too much on the subject of ethics, but how ethical is it? They decided in the field of bioethics that cloning a human being
is wrong.
was wrong. Correct. So I don't know what they will decide for AI, because it doesn't feel as wrong to be
makes you
cloned digitally, because it's a way, if you were an exceptional human being, some people were also human beings by everyone's judgment. If you were an exceptional human being, it's a way of perpetuating your legacy. So we'll have to think about it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at the end of it, brand will not go away. That's what. That's the thing we're getting.
I agree. Now, just going back, I was thinking about your law school of the future and this professor. So they used to have a class photo,
Right.
Just on graduation day, or on the stairs of the library or something. And now the class photo is probably going to be a Zoom screenshot, with all the students, each one of them from a different location. This said,
I think maybe not even Zoom, maybe even holograms, right?
who knows exactly? All of that will have a 3D. A 3D look.
Sci-fi is becoming real.
Yes, going back to what we said.
Sci-fi is dropping the fi. It's becoming science now.
Correct.
It's becoming science.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's probably exciting and scary at the same time. Let's keep it more exciting than scary. And one way of doing that is focusing on ethics and thinking about what it is that we are doing in this field.
That's very true. And I think the thing is with ethics, I think it's very necessary because, well, for me, in my opinion at least, it's how you should make decisions. I think you should make decisions with an ethics-first approach, because that's going to guide you, right?
Look, when on to this point, when we hire,
Yeah.
I
Tell
personally,
me, what's your hiring strategy? How do you approach hiring?
I look for ethics first.
Ethics first.
Yes, I try to identify a person who shares our ethics as a firm. Then I want them to be excellent, to have great grades in law school, and then if they had a previous experience, and this experience be at a great place. But I start by ethics. Plenty of people say, look, we'll hire the excellent people, those with a great CV, those with good grades, with good experience, and then we'll find out
what their ethics are like.
if there's a fit. I mean, it's a valid philosophy. It's not mine, but it's a valid philosophy. And then if
Very utilitarian, no?
we'll let them go. Sorry, Otmar.
Very utilitarian.
Kind of. Maybe it gets them faster. Like they have a need. They fill that need. For 2 months, the client, gets the work done, and then 2 months later, they find out that the person doesn't share their ethics, to put it this way.
Right.
Don't want to say it's unethical.
Do you think it's going to poison?
Then they fire the person.
Yeah.
But some people think of the law firm as a place where, and it is like that in many ways, where people enter and leave and enter and leave. And I like to have some stability, and I think when people are like-minded, we're talking about natural minds, not artificial minds, then there's more stability.
So you think law firm's culture can't survive bad ethics?
Well, it's a difficult one. Can or cannot? I think law firm's culture has to reflect, as part of a number of things, their ethics. So they should survive any sort of, bad ethics, as you call them, because if they are strong enough in their values, they should. But obviously, you can be a great firm, and the recent history has given us examples. And someone is, the black sheep, or someone makes a mistake. I mean, who doesn't make mistakes? And then the whole law firm collapses. Should we blame it on their culture? Should we say that the forefathers did something wrong, that their ethics were not up to the task? I don't think so. I think, mistakes will always happen. There will always be black sheep everywhere. And the job of the law firm is to try and have safeguards so that this doesn't destroy the law firm entirely.
Speaking of collapse, if you look at the majority of law firms in the Middle East, most of them are boutique practices, predominantly boutique practices. And you have a very, 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 very limited number of regional firms native to the Middle East or large-scale enterprise law firms native to the Middle East.
Correct.
And this is, in stark contrast to the US, where you have thousands of law firms with 1,000 or more people.
Correct.
Or in Europe, where it's the same story. And so my question to you is, why do you think that is? And is it going to change with AI?
Okay. Drawing on my own experience, it's the question that I asked myself when I moved back to Lebanon. I had worked at Paul Hastings in New York and in Paris. I had worked at Freshfields in Paris. And when I came back to a law firm that my father had started in the late 50s, I thought I need to rejuvenate this law firm, not just bring fresh blood. I need to bring a fresh vision to this law firm. And my first question was that, why can't we in the Middle East have big law firms with plenty of partners who, can work towards the same goal in a constructive way? Why can't we have regional law firms? We all speak a common language, which is Arabic. Why can't we leverage that and make something great out of it? And I don't have the answer to this question, but I can tell you that I've faced a number of difficulties, and that I think that one of the reasons is culture. In no way I'm an expert as to what are the cultural components that make this thing.
Everyone wants to be a king? Is that it?
Could be. Or chief, no Indian. It could be. It's part of it. I think what makes the US, still ahead of plenty of its competitor countries, of its competitor economies, is that when Americans work together hand in hand in
They do great
cooperation, in a partnership, they achieve great things. So in the Middle East, slightly more individualistic and slightly less sort of common interest oriented.
Okay.
More egos.
Right.
Ego is the enemy.
Ego is the enemy. Ryan Holiday, right?
Absolutely. So I think that, but it's an important question that deserves to be explored by people who are, actually qualified in social studies and cultural differences. I think that's where the answer lies.
Interesting. We can only hope. Because I think going in that direction, like a general market shift in that direction, just benefits everyone. Because it raises the bar.
I agree.
It raises the bar.
And also, I think it would be a sign of economic growth, a sign of economic wisdom, in the sense that you will have reached a stage where you know that partnering up with people is actually more rewarding than working in your own code. Now, Dentons has achieved...
And you work with them, right?
Yes.
You work with Dentons.
We have an association with Dentons, an exclusive association with Dentons.
Exclusive where? In the...
For Lebanon.
Okay.
For Lebanon. So we basically refer work to each other to simplify it.
Fantastic.
And what they have achieved is a huge network of offices in the Middle East. Another a great example is, and there are plenty, but DLA Piper, Simmons, Squire Patton Boggs, all these law firms have good networks in the Middle East. But what you're saying is different. You're saying, it should be, at least the offices should be led by people from the country, or it should be from each respective country. Or it should be, which is the case sometimes, like for Dentons offices, for instance. So there's no glass ceiling in my experience. But what you're saying is it should be an initiative of people from the region. And you have a few regional, I think, law firms who are doing a good job, I think.
Yeah.
Started in the Gulf.
I think we could do more. That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree with you.
I think we could do.
I agree with you, but this requires a change of mentality,
which is, never going to happen. I think.
If we look at the disease, if we diagnose it, and if we take the prescription, maybe. Yeah. But if we are still doing, like the problem is not there, and
if we're ignoring it, right?
Then yes, it's
the deeper underlying.
I have to put the ego aside. We have to put the emotions aside, and we have to look at it for what it is. And after that, we can probably fix it.
Yeah.
But as long as the ego and the other sort of denial processes are preventing us from identifying the problem, then we won't resolve.
You mentioned ego. I'm glad you mentioned that. And maybe it is a culture. Maybe it is a culture thing. But if you're going to mention 3 other words, right, to describe the culture of lawyers in the Middle East, what would those words be,
Can I still use ego?
Yeah.
So ego is one of them.
All right.
Individualistic, which is different from ego.
It is.
And selfish.
All right. Ego, individualism, and selfishness.
So I'm not insulting anybody. I'm saying this is where we should start, and this is what we should fix.
Do you think that's a defining feature? Do you think that's something we should fix?
No, it's you, who sort of caught me off guard, and I'm giving you my spontaneous answer. No, I think we could look deeper into this.
Okay.
But these are the ones that spontaneously come to mind. There's probably plenty of others. We should share information more.
Okay.
We should work on projects.
So we should together a collaborative community.
Including across law firms. We should share our information with the wider community. like universities, bar associations.
Right.
Yes, a collaborative sort of process. Are we doing enough of that? Aren't the people going to law schools just to say that they teach at law school? Are the people, giving conferences at the bar association just to be able to say that they did that? I'm looking for more interaction, genuine interaction, and a genuine willingness to share knowledge and to interact with students, with fellow practitioners, with judges. Why not?
I think that's fantastic. And, leaning into that, we don't have much time. We have like 2 minutes left. What's something you are naturally curious about?
Something I'm naturally curious about. Look, I don't want to sound arrogant, which those who know me know that I'm not. I'm curious about everything.
Right.
I'm a big reader.
Okay.
So on that, I'm very old-fashioned. I buy actual physical books, used, new, you name it. I read comics, I read, legal thought, I read books on, history, literature, and that would be English, in Arabic, in French. So I'm curious about everything, and I think that's what keeps me alive. I like the law, but it's not the only thing I'm curious about. So I think that's what personally keeps me excited. Okay, I like to learn new things, and I like to share them with people around me. So sometimes they're working and it's not the right time, and I have an urge to share this thing that I learned yesterday about this Arab philosopher who said something 2 centuries ago that still applies today and is valid, etc. People are like, but I have this conference call. So I think it's important to stay like that. It's important to be excited about things and knowledge, and the thought, the fact that you are actually seeking knowledge
is its own thing.
Yes, it's enjoyable.
This was such a pleasant conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, Antoine. Thank you for having me here and for the great branded coffee.
Thank you.